I hear this phrase sometimes. Well, if he wanted to, he would. And so my question to you is, well, would he? Like, would he really? For example, Coach Julian, hi, I'm Rebecca. Nice to meet you, Rebecca. Julian, I'm dating this guy and he just doesn't call me enough. We're talking once or twice a week. And I'm just like, well, if he really wanted to talk to me, he would call me more often. I mean, I keep a calendar because I'm very organized, and I write out and have written out what I'm doing hour by hour, and I keep an hour at the end of every night after I do my self routine, and I talk to him, and I set time out to talk to him. But he only calls me twice a week. I don't understand what's going on. I feel like if he really wanted to talk to me, he would. And that's where I come and I say, would he? Would he really? Well, what do you mean? Would he really? Rebecca, would he really? Let me tell you a story. When I was dating who was soon to be my wife, our first date, we met at the movies, which I don't recommend as a first date, but here's how I saved myself. We met at the movies. We sat in the dark. We watched the movie. I tried to like whisper in her ear a little bit while we talked. I asked her, well, are you scared? Are you okay? Everything okay? Trying to whisper, hit her with the deep voice or whatever. And I thought that was smooth at the time. Looking back, I'm like, oh man, cringe. But I thought that was smooth. But then after, we went to Starbucks and we talked. We had a nice conversation after the movie. We went to an early enough movie where we walked to the car. I think it was raining that day. We walked to the car and we drove to the nearest Starbucks, which wasn't really that far. And we talked, and we had some lattes. That was our first time having a latte, and that was the only thing I knew at Starbucks at the time was vanilla chai latte, and I introduced her to that, and then we've been hooked ever since. But that's kind of how I saved myself because we did do something after that to actually talk and get to know one another. But after that, I don't know if it was after that date or maybe after another one, but I went like maybe a week or something like that, not texting, not calling, because I didn't want to overdo it. I really liked her. And if you listen to my videos, some days I can talk. I can get going when I'm passionate about something. I can really get going. Other than that, I'm quiet, but I can get going when I really get passionate about something. And so, I was passionate about her, so I could talk. And I wanted to talk, but I didn't want to push her away. So, whereas if you watch my other videos, I say things like, okay, a man will reach out and will want to talk. If he likes you, and he's going to want to talk to you. But there can be differences in personalities and communication styles and also worries. So I had no problem talking to her, but I had been in situations where I feel like I talked too much too soon and ran people off. So I was trying to play it cool with this one. And I said, I'm gonna have a little bit of a cool off period, let her come to me a little bit, and I'm gonna talk to her again, like, hey, what's going on? And that was the wrong approach. I should have went with what I always had gone with because I was with it and she was with it. She was like, no, you need to talk to me. I'm like, all right, well, let's get talking then. And we were talking like almost every day from that point forward, either on the phone or texting or both. And we would talk sometimes into the wee hours of the night. And she didn't like that too much, but she would stay with me. And sometimes she would complain about, all right, go to bed, I'll talk to you tomorrow. We would talk constantly in those dating phases, in that dating phase. But she had to say to me, hey, what's going on? Like, so you just gonna ghost me? I was like, I'm not gonna ghost you. I was trying to give you some time. And she's like, I don't need any time. I need you to talk to me. And I was like, my bad. I did that because I thought that you needed more space. I didn't want to suffocate you. She's like, I'll let you know when I need space. And from that point forward, listen, she'll let me know. If I'm talking too much, if I'm repeating myself over and over again, and she's like, all right, you said that to me already. Like she'll let me know. So she's always from that point forward always been very good with just telling me, okay. Like, pump your brakes. I need a break or whatever. You're talking too much, whatever. And that works for me because I just want to talk to her. When it was me and her, I just want to talk. And so when I'm talking to Rebecca, I remind her that yes, it could mean that he's not interested in you, but have you also communicated your needs? So you gotta, with a man, you gotta be direct and mean what you say and say what you mean. So have you communicated, hey, I need you to communicate more with me because I want to talk to you. And then see what happens from there. Then after that point, if it begins to fall off, then you're dealing with somebody who is just not feeling you. Or he asked somebody else or whatever. But if you're direct and say, hey, I like talking to you. I'm not saying to put yourself in the man's chair and try to be the pursuer in the beginning. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you see him fall back a little bit, it's okay to give a little nudge. Hey, what happened? I didn't talk to you yesterday. And then explain, well, and if he said, oh, well, I wanted to give you space, whatever. If he hits you with one, I wanted to give you space, or I figured I was talking too much, or I didn't want to overwhelm you, or something like that, then you can say, oh, well, it's okay. I'll let you know if you can be that direct, or it's okay, we can talk more. And then see where it goes and flows from there. Because it's not always the case that if a man wanted to, then he would. It's not always the case. Men tend to be, on average, a little bit more aggressive. Men tend to be pursuers and chasers of things that they want, on average. But sometimes, based on what they've experienced, sometimes based on personality, they might need just a little nudge. Just a little bit. You don't gotta be too forceful, just a little nudge. And I think that will help you when you understand that. That sometimes, well, not even sometimes, men and women, we just communicate differently. Right? There are some men that might be good with every other day. And you might want to talk every day. And so you got to figure out if that's your man's approach. That's the question you ask. Hey, so as far as communication and talking, are you like a talker on the phone? Do you prefer texting and talking? Do you want to talk every day? And if they want to talk every day, and you like to talk every day, okay. But it's like, oh, no, I'm like every other day kind of person, but you want to talk every day? You ask for more, or you get a compromise. Okay, well, on the days where you don't feel like talking, can be at least text. Now, I'm a believer you should be talking to that person every day in the dating phase. Every day. Even if it's only like little short periods, every day, because you got to get to know this person. But I can soften my thoughts on that a little bit based on the person's overall character. If they haven't shown any red flags and things like that, then okay, well, then maybe you want to do a text in between. If you're with someone and they work 12-hour shifts, maybe they want to text in between and then call you on the other day. But it's based on what's the situation and their personality, and that's where I would kind of bend on some of those quote-unquote rules. Something to think about.